I was thinking about the past month and how I've noticed that I've started to slip back into an old mindset that used to keep me stuck. How I've let this better life that I've created for myself fall to the wayside just a little bit. I've started to slip and my brain's gone back onto autopilot mode. This isn't the first time that I've dealt with relapsing back into an old mindset, but this time is different because I'm allowing myself to be okay with it. I'm okay with it because I realize now that real self-growth isn't about creating a perfect routine that will never allow me to slip. What it's actually about is about being able to recover quickly when you do start to slip. If you're somebody who's spent the last weeks or months trying to get yourself into a better mindset, or just generally wanting to be at a better spot in your life, but you've started to slip recently like I have, I want you to know that it's okay. And you've already done one of the most important things that you can do when you do start to notice yourself slipping and going back into that autopilot mode. It's being aware of the fact that you are relapsing back into that old mindset, and that there's something that you can do to fix that. What I want is for all of us, myself included, to be able to quickly reset when they notice themselves starting to slip. And that's what I'm going to be talking about in today's video. Real self-growth is like car maintenance. If you don't keep up with your oil changes and you don't change out your tires when the tread starts to get low, eventually you're just going to run the car into the ground and it'll turn into a piece of junk. And your mindset needs the exact same kind of maintenance. You can't just set it and forget it and expect it to work all of the time and that you'll never slip back into old patterns that keep you stuck. The longer you wait to change your oil, the more problems are going to start occurring with your car. And the longer you wait to try and reset yourself when you start to slip back into an old mindset, the messier that your life will become, and the harder it'll be to get back onto that better mindset. For me, I've still kept a lot of really good wins in place. I've stayed sober, I've still been saving my money, and generally the bigger goals that I've been focusing on this year, I've still been actually making progress towards. But I've started to slip in more of the smaller day-to-day habits, like keeping up with my hygiene, doing my laundry, cleaning my apartment, getting to bed on time, and just general life upkeep. Falling behind usually happens gradually. It's not one big failure that happens at one time. It's small lapses stacking up over time, like a messy space, bad food choices, neglected chores, losing sleep. And the longer you wait to reset, the harder it becomes to reset. Being able to adapt quickly when you do notice that is the key to self-growth, not creating a perfect, consistent mindset. Because what matters less is the quality of the mindset that you're stepping into, and more about being able to actually consistently keep up with that mindset when you start to slip back into old patterns. Everybody's going to slip and everybody's going to fail. What matters is that you don't allow yourself to keep failing by kicking yourself when you're down and procrastinating on picking up the pieces that are around you and getting back on track. Delay creates more resistance, more shame, and more mental weight, which makes restarting harder. The goal shouldn't be to never fall off. The goal should be to catch yourself early and to restart fast. That's much more realistic and much more useful to you than trying to stick with flawless discipline. Ultimately, bad mindsets, patterns, habits, routines come back to you when your good habits stop supporting you. That healthier mindset that you're trying to build for yourself is reinforced by action. And when those habits start to weaken is when those old habits and old thoughts start creeping back in. Your old default mode is familiar to you, so it's going to be harder to flip it 180 and to try and stay consistent with something that you're not familiar with or that you're even uncomfortable with. Because the truth is that you can be improving but still be inconsistent at the same time. You might be in a much better place than you were a year ago, but no matter how far you've made it in your journey, you're still going to be vulnerable to a relapse. This is why people who used to be alcoholics talk about taking one sip after 10 years of being sober and allowing themselves to just fall right back into it. It's not just as simple as deciding to never do it again and then never worrying about it. For them, it's something that they have to consistently work on. They lived in a mode of drinking every single day for so long that even being 10 or 15 or even 20 years removed from it, it's still difficult for them to go a day without a drop. And definitely, the longer they've practiced sobriety, the easier it gets. But it's not like they can just forget about that mode that they used to be in for so long. And your mindset is the exact same way. You've been used to the comfortable zone that you've been in for so long that even if you're a few years removed from that old part of your life, As soon as small patterns start to creep up, and you allow them to creep up, even just the small things that start to stack up can start to pull you back into that comfortable zone that kept you stuck for so long. And this is why I say that reflection is one of the most valuable skills that you can have. Because if you can notice that your thoughts and your actions and your habits are leading you to a more destructive place, it lets you connect current choices to future outcomes. And what I mean by that is you have the choice to do something about it because you're aware of it happening in the first place. It allows you to interrupt that spiral you're in before it becomes your normal again. And self-awareness can make that recovery faster because you're now better at recognizing when your headspace is turning negative. And that means that even if you do slip, you're less helpless than you were before. The real benefit you'll see to upgrading your mindset isn't never struggle again, but it's understanding yourself well enough to course correct whenever you do start to slip, and you'll do so sooner. It's daily maintenance and not a one-time transformation. Mindset isn't something that you fix once and keep forever because it has to be maintained, like a car. If you can catch the lapse early and reset before shame and chaos start to pile up, and you can focus on recovery instead of guilt, you'll be able to create habits that protect your mindset, that allow you to restart quickly and not procrastinate. And that's when you'll start to see that mindset really starting to work for you. It's not about the quality of the mindset that you have, but it's about staying consistent with the mindset that you choose to have. The reality is that you can choose any mindset that you want to step into, but unless you're putting in the required effort that it takes to keep up with the maintenance that that mindset requires, then eventually when you start to slip, you're just going to want to change it out for something else because it's not working for you. Think of the car example. What good would it do you if every time you needed to change the oil in your car, you just got rid of the car so you could get a new one? It'd be way more expensive, obviously, and that's kind of an absurd example, I know, but what good would trying to build a better life for yourself be if every time that you started to slip back into that old mindset, you just got rid of that new life that you were trying to build for yourself because it wasn't working for you? When in reality, you just haven't put in the effort that's required to maintain that mindset that you're trying to step into. And I'm definitely guilty of that myself. There's been plenty of times in the past where I just allowed myself to give up on whatever kind of self-improvement, self-growth path that I was trying to put myself onto because I was expecting it to work perfectly 100% of the time. And when it wasn't, I was telling myself things like I just wasn't cut out for that. I was kicking myself while I was down, like, of course, how could I possibly think that trying to better myself would ever get me anywhere? When in reality, I was making real progress. As soon as I stopped seeing that progress happen and I was slipping back into my old lifestyle, I would just give up because of my expectations that I had set for myself. And I have a whole nother video on expectations, your observations, and perfectionism. If you want to watch that, I'll link it and go into way more detail than I will here. But in general, sticking with a certain mindset is less about the quality of the mindset that you're sticking with and more about being able to consistently make an effort to maintain it when it starts to create friction. And that friction happens when you allow small things to pile up gradually over time that make it easier to step back into that old mindset or that old default mode that you were stuck in because it was comfortable to you. It's easier to give up on things that you're not comfortable doing, and it's easier to convince yourself it's not worth your time because your brain wants to protect you from pain. And stepping into something that you're uncertain about, like creating a better lifestyle for yourself, a better mindset for yourself, replacing bad habits with better ones, or trying to stay on a routine that you might not have been on before, can send alarm bells running through your head because it's not something that your brain is familiar with, and it hasn't seen the living proof of that lifestyle working out for you yet. So when you do start to slip, it's a lot easier to allow yourself to slip all the way back to your old mindset and to just live comfortably. But if you can allow yourself to be okay with just a little bit of slippage and to pick up the pieces and to reset, I promise you, you will go much further than you will have ever been before. And you'll end up in a much better spot in your life where you're truly confident in the choices and decisions that you're making, your thoughts that you're having, and you'll be proud of the kind of person that you're becoming. Don't be somebody who expects perfect consistency. Be somebody who can restart quickly. Anyways, that's all I've come to talk about in this video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.